let's move on to Mr. Perez. This was Tom Perez last night, not leading with his values.
It is your view that this can be safely conducted tomorrow. Who have you been consulting to come to that view?
Well, again, we didn't intervene in that case.
No, I know. This is a state matter, but I'm asking your position as Tom Perez, the head of DNC. Sure. My understanding is you're saying you agree with the states that are going forward.
Yes, we respect what they're doing, and we always encourage everyone. And I was in contact today with people in a number of these states, including but not limited to Arizona, and again asking them if do they believe they have the systems in place that enable them to put the elections on tomorrow, and they do. And Republican and Democratic governors have made that judgment that they can do that. I don't think it's for me to second guess those judgments, Chris, and so. I respect that. And again, the point I'm making is there's a broader issue here. And that broader issue is we ought to make it easier for people to vote.
Yeah, I'm not the chairman of the Democratic National Committee. I have no power. It's not like they'll listen to me if I tell them to postpone the elections, because the DNC doesn't run the state parties or anything. Tom Perez says, I've talked to them and they have the systems in place. They have the systems in place. I just showed you a clip at the beginning of this live stream of an election judge who says, I've gotten zero communication with the Chicago Board of Elections. I don't know what to bring. I don't know if they have enough hand sanitizer. I don't know if they have sanitation to clean the voting machines. I don't know what they're going to do to ensure people are standing quote unquote social distancing from one another. I didn't have time to load all of it. I have gotten images all over this country on Twitter from all over the country with packed lines. Definitely people not 6 feet away from each other. And Tom Perez says, well, they tell me that, they got enough. They got enough. They have processes in place. So it'll be fine. They got processes in place. What could go wrong? Here's another one. Currently in a poorly ventilated basement of the Gage Park early vote site, the second largest Latino district in Illinois. The current wait time here is just over an hour. Folks have already started to leave, saying they aren't willing to risk their health. You would imagine seeing this in third world countries. Do those people look like they're social distancing? And again, knock on wood, I hope this doesn't happen, but it's March 17th. Let's take a look in a week from now at Arizona, Ohio, and Illinois' numbers. And how many additional cases of coronavirus do they have? Because this is going to spike that number. No doubt about it. But that wasn't all, folks. That wasn't all. In addition to Tom Perez going on national television and basically playing dumb, saying, well, I trust them. Just like we trust the party in Iowa to do, they know what they're doing in Iowa. Then it comes out. I mean, you just can't make this up. It gets more corrupt by the hour. That the DNC is basically threatening states that delay their primaries, that if you delay your primaries past June, we might strip you of delegates. And let me explain what that means. Each state gets a certain number of delegates. So California has the most number of delegates. New York is next. Texas is next. From there, it's a little foggy. I think Florida is next, but I could be wrong on that. And states want as many delegates as they can going to the convention because that represents each state's power. And I don't want to get into the weeds, but there is often, behind the scenes competition between states on who could get more delegates awarded to those states. So the DNC is threatening to strip states of their delegates if they try to protect public health. A new memo from the Democratic National Committee panel that handles delegate selection for the presidential nomination warns that states that hastily change the first determining step of their own process could be subject to penalties, including a 50% reduction in delegates if they hold primaries after a June cutoff date. The memo also says the panel is looking at ways to adjust how delegates are selected in response to the coronavirus pandemic. 3 states will hold primaries on Tuesday. A 4th, Ohio, postponed on Monday. Due to the coronavirus, Louisiana, Kentucky, Georgia, and Maryland have also postponed their votes. As in virtually every part of U.S. society, election officials at every level have been discussing ways to safely administer the elections. The new DNC memo obtained by The Guardian was sent to members of the Rules and Bylaws Committee on Wednesday night. Quote, "We are working with state parties that need to make adjustments as needed to their delegate selection process so they can continue without major interruptions," wrote James Roosevelt and Lorraine Miller, co-chairs of the Rules and Bylaw Committee. The regulation allows technical changes to be approved by the co-chairs. A number of states have taken dramatic steps to prevent the spreading of the coronavirus. Late on Monday night, Ohio's Governor Mike DeWine announced that his administration would order polling stations closed because of the health emergency. It's just unbelievable. I don't know how else to talk about this. This is just my opinion. How else should people view this other than Tom Perez, the DNC? Let's be clear, the governor of Illinois just endorsed Joe Biden yesterday. When governors endorse candidates, there's usually some communication between those governors and the campaigns that they're endorsing. You don't think it has no connection between the Illinois governor deciding to keep these primaries going? Chicago, one of the biggest cities in the country, with the fact that he just endorsed Joe Biden? It seems to me they're willing to straight up risk public health to just finish this primary, finish Bernie Sanders off, and, start to restore the soul of the country bumper stickers. But most importantly, get rid of Bernie Sanders. And if that wasn't enough, then the DNC came out and called on states not to postpone their primaries. DNC is asking states not to postpone their primaries amid the coronavirus pandemic, but instead to take measures to make voting more safe and remote when possible. DNC Chairman Tom Perez said in a statement that states should begin mailing ballots to all registered voters and to implement no excuse absentee voting, which allows voters to drop their ballots off at pre-approved sites. In addition, Perez said that polling places should expand their hours and days of service to reduce lines and crowds. The DNC chairman said that postponing elections, as several states have done, is not the right answer. Quote, states that have not yet held primary elections should focus on implementing the aforementioned measures to make it easier and safer for voters to exercise their constitutional rights to vote, instead of moving primaries to later in the cycle when timing around the virus remains unpredictable. I don't even know where to start with this idiot. I don't know if this is idiocy or just straight up how do you say it? Sociopathy? Sociopathy. Sociopathy. I'm making it up.
No, sociopathy is not a word.
Sociopathy. First of all, Jen, can you call me? I know you're a psychology major. I want to get your input here. Give me a ring. States should begin mailing ballots to all registered voters and to implement no excuse absentee voting, which allows voters to drop their ballots off at approved sites. Is this guy living in an alternate reality? Drop ballots off at an approved site? New York City is potentially about to go on lockdown. Shelter in place. Parts of California are doing this now. There is other parts of the country. Hey there.
Hey.
Let me just finish my rant for a second. There are other other parts of the country that are talking about sheltering in place. How are people going to drop off their mail-in ballots at a pre-decided location if they're not allowed to leave their home? Which, by the way, Italy has been doing for the last 2.5 weeks. Why? Because they didn't do it early enough, so now they're forced to do it now. Jen, is this guy a moron or just a criminal?
I don't think he's a moron. I think he is a criminal. I mean, his actions are criminal. His actions are disgusting. They're obviously not caring of the people. You have to be a sociopath to carry something out like this, and not only to do that, but to threaten states by, trying to strip them of delegates. You have to be screwed up in the head in some way, and not a caring person, to put it mildly, to do those things. It's absolutely disgusting.
And the thing that I find so bizarre is, like, he's talking like it's just like, yeah, you could drop off your ballots at a pre-approved site. Some polling places should expand their hours and days of service to reduce lines. Like, he's talking like he thinks that it's a guarantee that polling places are going to be staying open for early voting, that people are going to be able to leave their homes to drop off their ballots, that the U.S. Postal Service will continue uninterrupted for all these mail-in ballots to be delivered. I mean, again, I don't know if this is just straight up idiocy.
It's not idiocy at all, because he knows that people showed up today, that polling volunteers showed up today, and the polling judges weren't there. There were signs, it was all over social media. There were signs taped to windows saying, sorry, the election judges didn't show up today, so call someone, I guess. Like, a lot of people didn't know what to do. And obviously people didn't show up, but even for those who did show up, there was no one there. That's something that even my 10-year-old would understand. That you can't hold a fair election, a legitimate election under these circumstances. So even if this guy isn't a sociopath, then he is. I mean, well, he is. I don't want to say like he's a criminal, disgusting. Like, I can't diagnose him. Obviously, I don't know his intentions.
Well, you do have a degree in psychology, so.
I do have a degree in psychology, but I am not like a doctor of psychology or anything like that. I think, as far as his motivations, we know that his motivations are to get Joe Biden elected president, or at least to get him the nomination. That is the sole focus right now. And Tom Perez knows that if he pushes through and makes that happen, then he's good to go. That is his sole goal and mission right now. He does not care about the people. He doesn't care that people showed up to empty polling places today. He doesn't care that this disenfranchises voters. If he did care, then we would have seen a different outcome in Iowa of what happened there.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com, where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.